Welcome one, welcome all to the SnailTrail4x4 Podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, and maybe even poking a little bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course hearing about how awesome 14mm sockets and gear wrenches are, then this is the podcast for you. I'm your host today, Tyler, and sitting here next to me, my lovely, gorgeous co-host, I don't know if I've ever called you that before, is Jimmy.
Never have, and don't ever do it again.
You're not a fine specimen like on our last podcast?
I don't know.
So anyways, Jimmy, Mr. Gorgeous over here, how are you doing today?
I am sitting comfy. That is
my
for
God,
sure.
that is very true. You know, these are a massive upgrade from the chairs we were
Yes,
using.
they were just solid wood chairs, and then we did get a very nice donation of some very nice office furniture chairs.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I'm going to just kind of adjust here so that I'm just going to lean back and
How's
lounge
this?
and go
I could just
sleep.
sit just like this the whole time. That chair goes back super far.
It totally does. Like, you
could like literally fall asleep in that chair.
I will
it's
fall
crazy.
asleep. Thank you, anonymous donation giver, for our awesome chairs that we have now in the studio. They're not quite as portable. So when we do our on-site studios, we'll still probably be stuck to camping chairs.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe a hammock or two. But yeah, these are awesome. Super comfy. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. You know who you are. You know you're listening. You listen to the podcast.
Yep.
You got some sneak peek info for upcoming episodes today when you dropped them off.
That's true.
So yeah, thank you. These are awesome. We are going to love and enjoy these chairs here. So other than that, and today going really well, we have to say this huge thank you to everybody out there, all of our patrons and all the listeners too. You know, we do say a lot of thank yous to the patrons, but I definitely want to make sure that we're still saying thank you to all of the listeners out in podcast land and all the watchers, the viewers out in YouTube land. Thank you guys, because I mean, if we weren't getting people downloading the podcast, we wouldn't be doing the podcast. We would just sit around and talk like we used to do.
Yeah, we just bullshit to each other. Back in the day.
Yeah, we wouldn't go back through all the trouble and time it takes to edit podcasts and videos and get them all uploaded and rendered and everything. So
it's a lot of work.
I was not expecting it to be this much work, man. It took me
the video side.
Yeah,
because with 3 cameras now, like if it's just one camera, I could just go through and cut like if we have a pause or whatever.
Yeah.
But when we're doing 3 cameras and we're bouncing from here to there, and this camera's, like whenever you're talking, I'm going to that camera. Whenever I'm talking, I'm going to this camera. And if we're doing general banter kind of stuff back and forth, I'm at the middle camera, and it becomes time consuming.
We just need a drone, a selfie drone that will hover and switch for us based on who's talking.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So if anybody has one of those you'd like to donate to the podcast, to the YouTube channel.
Yeah. I was watching the Mike and Max video podcast.
I love their setup.
Yeah,
they have a really nice setup. We're gonna have to contract them to come in and make a setup for us.
We need an FJ40 grill.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
some kind of grill. We'll have to start a wall of grills.
That'd be cool.
That'd be pretty cool.
But they do some fun animations during the video, like smiley faces and emojis, and they got had rain falling. They were talking about how we got rained on, and it had rain falling from the screen over the front.
Maybe we just need to contract them to edit all of our stuff.
Yeah, I highly doubt that would happen. But hey, if
Mike,
you guys are interested, Mike or Max, let us know. We would probably be up for something along those lines.
Yeah.
Free some time up.
Yeah, seriously. So, yeah, those guys are funny. If you guys have not listened to the Mike and Max Off-Road Show, go check it out. They're funny. They're funny guys. They have a great quality to their podcast. And they have some awesome stories of wheeling and chopping up a Jeep Liberty. So no judgment there. I'm not going to say anything except it's a Jeep Liberty. So anyways,
it's badass.
It is a pretty badass
Liberty. I mean, granted he had to build a frame for it.
That's true.
But it's so cool.
Yeah,
it is.
I mean,
and how many Jeep Liberties do you see out there? That's one of the major things I like about that is it's a unique build.
It is a very unique build. Somebody, I want to say, you remember how I've kind of joked around with building a mail truck?
Yeah.
Did you see, it was either Dirthead Dave or Fred on Instagram, came across a mail truck and made some kind of comment like, next build, ? I was like,
that's
no,
funny.
That's my idea. You back off.
I did see a lowered Prius that had camber built into it today.
For like drifting?
I don't know what it was. It was lowered and it had camber on all four corners of it. And I was just like, made me want to lift it even more. Yeah.
Put a Prius up on 38s. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That's still one of my life goals. That's on my bucket list to do. So,
all right. Game on.
So yeah, we're going to do that. We'll get a mail truck and a Prius up on 40s here one day. And once the podcast goes a little bit more viral.
Right.
We just back to what we were talking about. So yeah, huge thank you to all the patrons out there. Trevor, congrats to Trevor. If you guys did not hear on the last episode, Trevor won the Exploration Ready Advanced First Aid Kit. And I talked to the owners over at Exploration Ready. They had originally planned on the discount code SnailTrail4x4 for 20% off. That was going to end at the end of August. And so we had a couple people, now that they didn't win the first aid kit, they were like, hey, I went to try and buy one and your guys' discount code doesn't work anymore. And I was like, uh-oh. So I talked to the owners, Chris. He was super cool about it. He goes, oh, yeah, no problem. So what they're going to do is they are going to keep that discount code open for 20% off. And through the end of September.
Okay, cool.
So you have until September 30th to use the discount code, get 20% off on a really kick-ass off-roading outdoors first aid kit. And then after that, it's going to be on a permanent 10% off.
Oh, cool.
So if anybody, you just don't want to get one yet, you're kind of looking into it, and you still will have forever to get one. It just won't be as big of a discount.
Right.
So definitely get them during this month if you can and want to. Again, a reminder, you can use your health savings accounts, your HSAs or your FSAs, your flex saving accounts from your work benefits. Check those out, explorationready.com. There will be a link. This will be the last episode with a link in the show notes for it. But you can go back to any of our episodes during August and get a link there as well. So just pull up any of the episodes on your podcasting platform. Look at the show notes, and there will be a link in there to the website. So,
and if you're a patron, there's a few spots that we have a bunch of other links, including that one out there. So you can check those out as well.
Yep. So, and if you are a patron, you know where those are. That's all we're going to leave it at.
And next month,
so this month, September.
This current month.
So this current month, September, we are doing a $100 gift card to Factor 55.
Yes.
So really cool guys over there. They are literally the industry leaders in winching and recovery gear. There's other people like Warren. They do awesome winches. They have great product as well. But these guys really specialize in the connections for your rigging. So winch rigging. And they're big believers in closed system winching, which is really cool. If you haven't looked it up, it's essentially the idea that there's no open hooks on any of your rigging for winching or recovery gear. And everything is really safe. It has massive braking strengths, and they try and build everything to be essentially double shear instead of single shear ratings. Really cool. Everything is beautifully colored and designed really well.
Yeah.
And it's pure beef.
I love the look of their products.
I do too.
With all the little features like click here, hold it there, don't turn it this way, and all those.
There's a lot of cool stuff written on every single thimble, every single flat link,
load ratings,
all these different stuff on it. It's really cool. So
you posted a picture with them about them today and about the podcast and things coming out, and I wrote a big thanks, Factor 55, and they liked my comment.
What?
Yeah. That's so cool.
So we're going to try and get those guys on the podcast, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, I'm a huge fan of recovery. Can you stop that one?
Sorry.
I'm just kidding.
Dang, kid's getting me sick.
Jimmy's still getting over his kid cold. I'm a huge fan of recoveries and doing winching and recoveries in general. And so I would love to have them on the show and pick their brains about some of the more intricate details of recovery, especially with multi-point riggings and multi-pole riggings, multiple angle riggings. different ways to set up snatch blocks to create mechanical advantage. I think that stuff's awesome. So,
you know what I just learned is that there are differences in snatch blocks for synthetic and cable.
Yes and no. I mean, definitely if you get down to the finer details, there are.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you can use them for either one. The big thing is, though, is once you use a snatch block for cable, you don't want to use it for synthetic.
Okay.
Yeah, because the cable has little metal shrapnel shards, and it'll tears up the wheel and the snatch block, and that'll cut your synthetic rope.
Right.
So, so that's cool. So we have that going on, and we have October's giveaway all set up.
Yeah.
And I might have November's as well.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited. I was talking to one of the companies that's providing us a great deal on the gift box items.
Okay.
And they're coming out with a new product.
Ooh.
Starting here very shortly. So I'm going to be talking to them and seeing if they want to do a giveaway.
I'm going to throw this out there.
Throw away.
I want to go big for November.
You want to go big?
Yeah.
Like how big?
I don't know yet. We can discuss that off air.
Okay.
But November is my birthday month.
Oh, okay.
And so I just want
the Jimmy month.
Yeah.
It'll be like Dan Day, but Jimmy month.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to claim the whole month. And hopefully nobody else has birthdays those months because it doesn't matter.
Nobody else matters during November.
Yeah. It's only me.
Yeah.
And,
what do you do during Thanksgiving then? Do you even celebrate Thanksgiving? Or is it still
but
your
we just call it Jim Giving.
Jim Giving. Fair enough. That's fair.
And I just make turkey for everybody.
Nice.
Yeah. Jim's Giving. So I don't know. I just feel like we should do something good. Big, fun, have some good
I was thinking either that or Christmas.
Yeah, I was thinking after
November
I said
or
it,
Christmas. One or the other. So we're going to do something big. So you guys heard it here first on this episode 22. We're going to do something big, either November or Christmas, maybe both.
Yeah. And I also want to, because one of the options for the Patreon account is to group buy. And I would love to get ideas what you guys out there want for a group buy. Because
I know what I want.
Yeah, well, I know what I want too, but
I need a new LED headlamp because I don't have any anymore.
That's funny. So if anybody has something, like if you have random miscellaneous things that you want to get, send us an email, let us know, and then we'll see what a lot of people are interested in getting, and we'll contact that company for us, all of us.
Yeah.
And we'll see if we can get a group buy organized.
Yeah, definitely. So let us know what you guys are interested in. So let us know what you guys want, and we'll see what we can do for getting that all going. And I think that's about it for kind of updates, right?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Cool. You guys are listening to this episode and hopefully watching it on the YouTube land on a Monday. So what does that mean, Senor Gorgeous?
That it's a beautiful campfire discussion today.
It is a beautiful campfire discussion today. So we get to discuss some things, and over the past last episode and 2 episodes, but they aired Thursday, Friday. So the last episode, we had a long backlog of trips that we've been on, mainly Jimmy's been on. And so now we also have a big backlog of listener feedback. So that's what this hat is here.
Guess we got the first one.
Oh, we got the first one. That works. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over, we have a bunch of listener feedback that we've put into this big file, and then I printed it out and cut it all up.
Yep.
So now we have to piece it all together like puzzle pieces.
Yeah,
it's going to be a fun game.
Sounds
for the
good.
YouTube.
And we're pretty much going to answer, we have a lot of them. There's a bunch of these in here. And we're going to start answering them all until we figure we're about out of time.
Yep.
And then we're going to say thank you and goodbye after that. So
we're out of time. Thank you and goodbye, guys. No, I'm just kidding. So our first one
reminds me of I did a best man wedding speech once. And I started the speech with, a wise man once told me that the best man speech should only last as long as the groom can make love. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Goodbye. Nice. You're not talking at my wedding, are you?
Am I allowed to?
I don't. Well, not anymore.
Okay.
Oh, man. All right. So we have our first one here. Can you guys hear that? It's right.
Are you going to be able to read it now?
I don't know. We'll find out. Yep. Still read it. So this is from 40Z's to Freedom on Instagram. He said, or she said, I don't know if it's he or she, it said, hey, I saw some of the progress you had on your 4Runner build and was wondering if you might be able to help me with something. I rolled my 4Runner and smashed in the A-pillars and can't get a windshield in. Have you ever had to fix something like this? If so, how'd you do it? I'm worried if I just smash it back out, I'll have problems with the windshield cracking. Thanks for any help. So what are your thoughts?
I think the easier answer is I've never had to do anything along those lines.
Okay. So next question?
No, well, I mean, we could go to the next question, but I think I'm curious if the window's in, because he's saying that he smashed in or if he smacks him out, he's going to break the window.
Well, he's saying that he cracked his windshield, so he's got to replace his windshield now.
Okay, so if you're going to have to replace it, I would say pull it out. Hit the A-frame, see if you can knock it, try it, maybe hook, like, if your truck still runs, hook like a big strap up to that A-pillar and hook it to a tree and reverse slowly, or get a winch and kind of tug it a little bit. The problem is that's a very important feature of your truck.
Yes,
and
it's a very, very important structure feature.
I would almost say do a cab swap if that's feasible for you. Or maybe just try to figure out if you can do a plexiglass windshield.
Oh, interesting. I never thought of a plexiglass windshield.
And not really worry about it, and do an exo cage when you do that. Because right now, if you're relying on that structurally to save you if you roll over. Yeah, it's already damaged. Just like a helmet, right? Like once you drop your helmet, or once you fall with a helmet on like a bicycle or motorcycle or rock climbing or anything, snowboarding, the helmet's supposedly done. Yeah. Like you're not supposed to use it again.
Nope.
And I would almost say that like you're kind of in the ballpark there with the A-pillar bending and having a problem like that.
Yeah. So interesting. I took a slightly different route because the A-pillar is essentially I liked the flair you added on there at the end.
It didn't really go
that far. So the A-pillar of your vehicle is typically, at least on did he say what generation he had? Wondering if you might be able to help me. I rolled my 4Runner and smashed in the A-pillars and can't get a windshield in. So he didn't say what generation it is.
No.
I just assumed it was a first gen just because he was talking about my first gen.
That's funny. I was a Thermine. It was, I assumed it was a third gen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So the A-pillar is essentially, the outside of it is sheet metal, the inside is sheet metal, or the inside of the cab, I should say, is sheet metal. And in between those pieces of sheet metal is rolled steel, steel, essentially rolled steel into this really hard support beam. So what I told him he should do is find a donor vehicle, someone that's parting out their vehicle, same year and generation as he has, and cut the A-pillar out of that one.
Yeah.
And weld it, and then cut his compromised A-pillar out and weld it in.
Right.
And all it takes is a couple of tack welds to make it look good on the outside. The important part is that structural kind of rolled beam bar on the inside of the A-pillar. So as long as you can weld that really good, the outside of it can look decently enough using a little bit of grinding and a couple tack welds here and there. So
it was both pillars. Well, he says pillars, both the A-pillars. So there's both sides too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I would go with trying the A-pillar swap first.
Yeah.
And if you have any fabrication skills, if you have any welding skills, try that first.
Yeah, there's probably a progression here that you could do. You could try to pull it out. If that doesn't work, you could try to do an A-pillar swap. And if that doesn't work, then you can move to a whole cab swap.
Yeah. You could be like a badass and just cut your whole top off and do an A and B pillar deletes and do a whole cage instead.
Yeah.
With a fold-down window, like off of a Jeep or something.
That'd be kind of interesting.
That'd be kind of fun. I think that'd be cool to see.
Would you still leave the rear hatch so you can roll up and down the back window?
I mean, I would. I don't know. We'd probably have to put a soft top on it or something. But I'm thinking, if you're on Instagram because you have a username, but anyways,
so we can figure out what 4Runner it is.
Oh, that's right. We can look it up. While you're looking it up, I'm going to talk about the other guy's rig. Don Happel. DON_HAPPEL on Instagram. He's one of our Land Rover buddies, and he has a really nice Land Rover. That's essentially what he's done, is he chopped off the B-pillar and the whole cab of his Land Rover, and
his profile's locked.
Oh, man. 40Z to freedom. You failed us. Don has turned... He doesn't have a top really on his rig anymore. It's a cage with a bikini top on it. So you could do something like that. And I think those look awesome. It just depends on how weatherproof you really need your rig or not kind of thing. So
Or daily driver or
daily driver, etc. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. Yeah, so that does it for that one. And... Boo! So, the next one.
How about that one?
That is one of the big ones.
That is a big one.
I don't know if I'll read this whole thing. Oh, there's 2 here. I didn't cut that one up. Pick A or B.
A.
A? B it is. So, I
don't know which one was A or B, but the top one looks smaller.
It does. The top one is smaller for sure. Okay, let's do A first. So, this is from Alexander. So, Alexander, thank you for writing in. This one says, AAA sucks. Check out Hagerty Classic Insurance. I haven't heard of a crawler being insured, but this is what all the rich exotic car owners use instead of AAA. They have to interview you to make sure your vehicle is something they will actually insure, but better benefits and much better dispatch.
Interesting.
So I remember saving this question because I wanted to look into insurance options for off-road rigs that, we do a lot of aftermarket mods on our vehicles, and AAA is not helpful whatsoever in terms of insuring your aftermarket mods to your vehicle. So apparently, this insurance company, Hagerty Classic Insurance, will, I guess, make a full insurance coverage for whatever value you want it to be, I guess. So that's what it sounds like. Cool. And I don't know exactly how the process works, but if anybody out there is looking for extra insurance for your off-roading vehicle, our babies that we love, and less insurance for the actual babies you love, just kidding, then look into Hagerty Classic Insurance.
I was listening to the Rough Stuff podcast.
Oh, I haven't. Wait, they have one?
They have one. They just released episode 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they have their insurance guy for Rough Stuff on the interview.
Oh, nice.
And I was kind of like, okay, where's this going to go? Well, the dude's a wheeler also. And so he was talking about how he can insure all different types of vehicles.
Oh, interesting.
And how he hasn't had a vehicle come across his line yet that he hasn't been able to insure, and since he's a wheeler himself, he has a good idea of how to price the wheelers and how they should be priced to be insured properly.
Okay.
And so I don't remember the name of his insurance company, but if you listen to the Rough Stuff podcast, or at least maybe probably read the title, you could figure it out.
Okay. Was that episode 2 or 1?
Episode 2.
Okay.
And he's licensed only in California and Nevada.
That's fine. I think a lot of our listeners are from California. I know we have a lot of listeners elsewhere as well. But that's cool to know that there's another wheeler out there. So if you guys know any other wheelers out there that understand the stress and the anxiety we go through about our vehicles, let us know. Send them on in, and we'll give them a shout out on the podcast as kind of, we may end up doing a full episode on it here. I know that we're planning a full episode on vehicle security. We're going to do a whole episode on ways to secure your vehicle, as well as I think this would be another great topic on how to insure your vehicle for all the aftermarket mods and beefed up axles or Atlas transfer cases or taco boxes from Marlin. How do you put those on your insurance coverage as well? So cool. Thanks for that, Alexander. Thanks for writing in. That's a great option, and I think it's going to lead to some interesting campfire discussions in the future here.
Yeah, definitely. The next one on this piece of paper comes from Over-Under. Over-Under.
4x4.
Yep, that's what he said. He didn't really have a question in here, but he just said he loved the Oceana Dunes environmental episode. Thanks for shining a light. It's great to have a socialized cleanup days. That's a great idea. Lead by example. Also, Tyler, great to hear that you got your 4Runner back. What a story, man. Sorry to hear all the insides were stolen. Damn thieves. Hang in there. Rebuild as needed. By the way, fellas, love the show 2 times a week. Keep up the great work.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
I like that. Yeah, there was a couple of comments in there that were... Score. There's a couple comments in there that I was like, I remember that's why I wanted to keep that one. The first one was the
Oceano
Dunes and kind of learning about that and the environmental impact that we have with off-roading, and how much damage are we actually doing in off-roading areas versus sorry, the studio cat is playing with that question on the floor now.
Yeah.
So, how much damage are we actually doing versus how much damage do environmentalists say we do?
Right.
And, we are here on the Snail Trail podcast, we are very conscientious of tread lightly and making sure that we're doing as little damage as possible, because let's face it, we love wheeling, we love off-roading, and we really want the hobbies that we love and enjoy so much to be available and there for people, behind us, next generations, and 5 generations from now, 6 generations from now. So that's really the whole goal and idea behind Tread Lightly, is so that you just leave it for other people to enjoy as well. You're not the only person in this world that matters. I mean, I am. It's a matter
until November.
Not until November. Then I don't matter at all.
Yeah. Once November comes around.
Jim's giving. Yeah. So the cool thing about that is that we are actually going to we're planning on having somebody on as an interview coming up here shortly about environmental impact that off-roaders do. And not just off-roaders, but everybody. Because when we talk about nature and recreation in nature, it really comes down to everybody. What is everybody doing? We are all accumulation whole of what our impact is on our environments, right? So, whether we drive side-by-sides, motorcycles, dirt bikes, quads, 4x4s, mountain bikes, horses, whatever it is, we're all having some kind of impact on our environment when we're out there. We're planning on having somebody on that is going to be able to talk a little bit about that.
Yep.
Talk about what's going on in the front lines with places like Oceano Dunes, Ocotillo Wells, Stanislaus National Forest. There's some interesting stuff going on there. So there's a lot of stuff really going on the ground floor with lawyers, legislation, lobbying. And this person's going to be able to give us the full insight and give you guys all the inside information on it. So she's super wealth of knowledge. I've talked with her a few times. So it looks like we'll be able to sit down and have an interview for her.
Sweet.
For everybody's enjoyment, pleasure.
Yeah.
So
can I do a rant real quick?
Rant away, baby.
Because you brought it up, and then it just made me think about it. Horses.
Uh-oh. Horses, okay.
Like, I love horses. They're great. They're awesome animals. But why are horses allowed to poop all over the trails?
And we're not allowed to?
Well, or dogs?
Or dogs, yeah.
I mean, I wasn't saying us, but I mean, just why are there other animals that aren't allowed to poop on the ground and you have to carry it with you, but then a horse can poop on the ground and it's okay? And I bring this up because I ride my mountain bike around Folsom Lake often, and you have to avoid horse poop on the trails.
That is true.
It's like, we have
to pick up after our dogs.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And in like fairs or in like parades, they have those like buckets behind the rear end of the horse.
That's true.
That when they're in the parade, so they're not pooping on the road. Why is it that they can't do that for on the trails or out and about? And the one argument I've heard is because they try to give their horse natural foods, and so it just can biodegrade into the ground. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works.
That's not how. I mean, poop pretty much all, unless you're eating plastic,
right?
Which I would hope nobody's feeding their dog plastic or feeding themselves plastic. Yeah, it's going to biodegrade just fine.
Well, sure, but it's what's biodegrading, I guess, is that question.
I guess,
but I don't understand why horses are allowed to poop where people walk, people drive, people ride their bikes, and other animals aren't. You have to pick up after them.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer. Maybe Amy will know. Yeah. Maybe we'll talk with Amy about it.
Yeah.
But, I gotta say, that wasn't a real rant.
Sorry.
You never dropped an F-bomb.
Oh. Well, I hate fucking riding over it on my bicycle and having it fly up into my mouth.
God damn it, horses. There we go. Attaboy.
And even when you're bombing down a hill and it's like unavoidable, and you're like on a corner and you can't like jump or bounce or move and turn faster, you know, and you just plow through it.
Interesting.
It's just annoying.
That's a good question. I wonder how it worked back in the day when there wasn't cars.
You know, I heard a funny story about that too.
Oh, really?
I heard the majority of the reason that the cars were invented was to get the smell of manure out of the streets.
Oh, it was terrible. There's a podcast I listened to called The Dollop, a super popular. Oh. We're not doing 3 at a time. You put those back in. There's a really popular American history podcast called The Dollop, and they did an episode on when the first cars came around.
Okay.
And how much, like, especially New York City and Chicago were just completely fucked with horse manure everywhere. And I was like, man, I was just thinking, you know, back then, I know they had people whose actual jobs it was to pick up after horses on the streets,
right.
But I wonder if there was any, like, social etiquette for picking up after your own horse, like there is for dogs nowadays.
I doubt it.
I doubt it, too, but that's something that needs to be brought back
that's not even etiquette today.
No, yeah.
Right? So,
yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like horses are beautiful creatures, but I just don't understand, like in a public place.
Their poop is not beautiful, though.
Right. And especially in like a public place.
And especially in your mouth.
Yes. It's worse. That's the worst.
I cannot speak from experience on that one, but this guy can.
Yes, I can.
Oh, God dang it.
It's not tasty.
We have another question here on the paper. Da-da-da-da. It's from Ethan. I almost said Evan, which is not. There's a TH in there.
Hi, Ethan.
So, hi, Ethan. Ethan says, hello, I've been listening to you guys since you started on your previous podcast and am thrilled that you started your own show. Thank you very much, sir. He says, I just recently bought a 2018 RAV4 and want to know your guys' thoughts on the glass mount pass-through style antennas for 2 meter. I really don't want to drill any holes or do any modifications to this vehicle and have had several bad experiences with mag mount antennas. Is there a better way? ? You guys put on a great show, and I love listening to the Toyota Talk. Keep up the great work. Thank you for your time, Ethan.
It's a good question.
So what's your answer, buddy?
I think you are going the correct direction, and you're doing everything well.
Sure.
I don't even know what a glass through mount. Oh, is that the one you pass through?
Pass through.
You can stick it to the glass on either. So, like, you'll have a cable going up on the inside, and then something passes through it's sticky on the outside.
Yep.
Got it. I don't have any experience in that.
So I've seen these antennas a lot. I've installed one before, but I have never actually looked into how they actually work, what makes them work, and how they're different from regular antennas, say a mag mount NMO or a hard mount on an L bracket like we did on Bobcat.
Yep.
So I had to look this one up, which is fun. I totally nerded out for a few hours. Geeked out. Thank you. We're not nerds. We're geeks. So, what I found out is that the pass-through antennas, they do work. They work okay-ish. The way that they work, though, is there's a piece of glass and you stick almost like a flange on either side. You can think of it like an electrical flange. It's a electrical pad, and what it does, since the pad is so close to each other, it's only split off by this piece of glass in the middle, that it's able to send an electrical signal to and from a transmitter and a receiver. Transmitter on one side, receiver on the other side, kind of thing.
So in a way, it's kind of like induction charging.
Very similar to induction charging. Very, very similar. It works, and you don't have to put any holes in your glass. You don't have to drill a hole in your glass. You don't have to put any holes in the body of your vehicle. The only problem is that there's a huge, huge loss of energy and electricity when you pass it through the glass in an induction-style manner.
Right.
So say you're running a 50-watt radio, and you run it through a glass pass-through antenna, you're going to lose at least half of your electrical signal, half of your power to the antenna, compared to doing a magnetic mount or a hard mount, something through an NMO secured connection there on your feed point. So it'll work. It's a good option if you want to have something. You don't have to modify your vehicle for it all, but you are going to have a severely hampered connection to your radio at your antenna. That's just, you'll still get a decent SWR. Your SWR will not be the issue. You're just going to get a way low-powered signal, lower powered than if you did it with a normal antenna.
I wonder if I'm just trying to pull up a photo right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the RAV4, well, at least the very first photo that comes up, has like little roof racks.
Yes. They have it's essentially,
The
maybe
bar.
the new ones do. There is a crossbar. Mine did not come with a crossbar. It has the side ones.
Yeah, well, I mean, even if it's a side one, you could drill a hole. I know you said you didn't want to drill a hole.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't really be drilling a hole through the body.
Correct.
Then this might be, if you just popped it through one of those crossbars or like a roof rack sort of style, then I know you said you didn't want to do that necessarily, but it's another idea.
The other option is that all RAV4s do have those side rails. Whether or not they have a crossbar is another question, but they all have those sidebars on them. Yeah. So with those sidebars there, you could even take a hard mount with an NMO connection and U-bolt a metal bracket to that roof rack, that roof bar.
Either. Yeah.
So there's multiple ways that you can put an antenna system on a vehicle without ever drilling a hole into the body of the vehicle.
Right.
We did it with Bobcat. We put a little L bracket off of your hood.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point there. Some companies make them. I made my own, but some companies make them that you can mount it to the hinge of your hood.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can, whenever you lift and lower your hood, it's going to rotate the antenna, but you're also going, you're not drilling any holes. What you're doing is you're unbolting that part of the hood and then putting this plate in there and then bolting it all back together. And now you've got this new place to mount your antenna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's lots of different options. There's also a hatchback. There's hatch mounts, lip mount. For antennas, lip mounts is what they're called, and they will hook onto your door lip, hood lip, your hatchback lip on your RAV4. There's lots of different places to put those things. They're great because you don't have to drill any holes in. It all sits there, and it sits pretty evenly on like a 3-axis moving connection point. So
cool.
You can put it at any angle and then move the mount to be however you need it to be. So,
or you could always just do some 3M double-sided sticky.
There you go, too. You can do that, too. So, great question, and I hope that answered it. So, if you go with the glass pass-through, have a good time with it. It will work. You're going to get a good, decent signal out of it. You're just not going to get a good signal strength out of it. So, we got two. I'm taking this one.
Fell first.
So this question
is from
Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Mr. Joe. So he says, I listened to the Holy episode. That good old Holy episode. A point I never heard you bring up is your axle width. Aren't your axles 3 inches narrower for a first gen versus any later Toyotas? Are wheel spacers your answer, or just curious? I personally would rebuild the 4Runner, make it extra comfy, plan a space, possibly baby seat mount tied to the cage with zip ties. Just kidding, I added that. If you don't get an actual back seat, if you want a better, more powerful engine, do a swap into the 4Runner. Good luck with the build. Looking forward to hear all about it. Joe. So that's from Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. So yeah, we're not going to talk about
the plan
for the 4Runner because I do have a plan.
Mm-hmm. That'll come up next episode, I think.
Well, yes,
2 episodes.
Next episode. Next episode, the plan is coming out for the 4Runner. So, but the answer about the axles, yes, the first gen 4Runner and the second and first gen pickups are 3 inches. The axles, at least the axle housings, are 3 inches narrower than the third gen pickups and the first gen Tacos. Second gen, no, that's not true. I think the second gen 4Runners and third gen pickups are the same width.
And the second gen pickup is the same width.
The second gen as well.
Once it changed to the front axle stayed the same width until 1985.
Once they went to
IFS, the rear axle went wider.
Thank you. So, yeah, and that's why it's confusing when you hear people say, yeah, I have a 4Runner with an IFS axle in the rear. And you're like, what?
Right.
It's because the rear axle is 3 inches wider to match the stance of the IFS, the independent front suspension that they added in 1985.
Yep.
So every rig from 1985...
86. 1985 had the solid axle. 86 went to independent.
Halfway through 85 it changed.
Sure.
So I guess the 86 production year. Yeah. So 86 production year, but you can find the ones in 85. Don't you? Oh no. Our engine buddy has his brother, I think. His brother, one of his cousins, something like that, has a 1986 carbureted IFS pickup.
Yeah, they still made the 20Rs.
Yeah.
Up and for a while.
Yeah.
Or maybe I think it was the 22R.
Yeah.
They made that for a while, even though the fuel injection, the 22RE was the popular engine because it was the fuel injection. But yeah, the 20R was still being made. Just nobody ever talks about it once you go to the independent side.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah.
So yeah, any axle that came with an independent front suspension, an IFS setup, it was 3 inches wider than the solid front axles that Toyota used to make. So yes, to answer your question, wheel spacers are my answer and most people's answer for running a Toyota front axle and matching the stance to their rear axle.
And I think something we need to point out also is that you have the 85 front axle, but you also have the IFS rear axle in the truck.
That is true.
So you are doing a 1.5 inch spacer on each side of the front axle to match the widths.
I was actually doing a 3 inch spacer on one side and a no spacer on the other.
3 inches on both sides and then 1.5 on the rear.
Yeah. Got to get wide, baby. No, I'm running, the 1.5 inch. It's still on the table. It's still on the table. Oh. Anyway, so I still
I'm going to have to clean all these up later.
I still have the 1.5 inch spacers on the front on each side to match my 3 inch on the rear. So, and that's on the first gen 4Runner that I have that is gutted inside. Teardrop. Next, we need another paper. Give us a paper. Oh, there's a good one. This one. Oops. we need here. You read half of it. I'll read half.
All right, you ready? I just put episode 19 in my ear hole. Great job.
Why style? Dang it. We may have to read this one later. I'm going to have to reprint this one. I tore, and for those of you not watching the YouTube, I accidentally tore.
Great job.
Jimmy
as
tore the paper.
Always.
Okay.
Body swap.
So you're saying body swap it?
Put a second gen body, the best body style, on the awesome drivetrain you already have.
Ooh.
It's proven reliable drivetrain. You obviously are good at wiring and electronics, so I would think you wouldn't have much of a problem making the new body work. One thing to point out.
Okay.
About possibly swapping your drivetrain into a Tacoma axle width.
Okay.
Just keep that in mind.
I'm keeping it in mind.
The wheel mount surfaces. Tacomas are 61 inches, the wheel mount surface, right? Your front axle is 55. So same sort of problem that we were having. Okay. Tacomas are even wider than the independent front suspension of a third gen. I wonder if I think a third gen 4Runner rear axle is wider than a second gen 4Runner's rear axle, which is wider than a first gen 4Runner's rear axle.
Yes.
And for the pickups, first, second, and first gen is smaller than the second and third gen, and then when you go to the Tacoma, it's wider.
Correct.
Even then, so
I think the third gen, fourth gen, and fifth gen 4Runners all had the same rear axles, as well as the second gen and third gen Tacomas, and the first gen Tacomas. I'm not sure of whether they had the regular IFS or the longer ones. So, okay. Anyways, back to my question here.
If I remember correctly, this setup is way too narrow. If you have an IFS rear, then it's 85.5, which could work if you use wheel spacers, which we just talked about on the previous question. Unless you are really good at bodywork or just want to pay a ton of money to somebody else, skip the idea of the second gen door or the second set of doors on your 4Runner.
Oh, doing the four-door first gen? Okay.
Although it would be cool and different, it seems to me like it would be a big headache.
Okay. Interesting. It's a lot of points there. The first one being, if you just left it as two pieces, you get two throws at the camera. Oh, double. Double whammy. There's a couple points there. One is the second gen body style being the best body style for 4Runners.
Do you agree?
It's a good question. Looking at the second gen through, I've been doing a lot of research as everybody has been pouring in ideas of what I should do with the first gen.
We had an overwhelming amount. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. But at the same time, I was like, man, I have to read all these emails now.
I just kept forwarding them. These are his. These are his. You can respond to these. Here you go.
Yeah, thank you. So as I was looking into it, I love the third gen, but I like the body style of the second gen better. And the main reason why is you get the 4 doors of the third gen, but you get the belly pan height of the first gen. Third gen has a much taller cab and body to it than the second and first gens. So there's more room inside.
Okay.
It's more spacious, a little bit more comfy, but the second gen, it's you get that 4 doors. You get that 4-door style with the higher belly pan height out of it.
Okay.
So I kind of like that idea a lot of taking the body of a second gen and swapping it onto my first gen.
I thought we weren't talking about these things.
Well, I'm not. This isn't. I like the idea. Okay. This is not the plan. I already have a plan.
But it might not be.
It might not be this. It might be.
And it might be it.
Yeah. I don't know. You guys have to listen to the next episode 24, I think.
Dang.
Jeez, we're at 24 already?
Yeah.
This 2 episodes a week goes quick.
It goes fast.
Jeez. So anyways, I like the idea of somehow having my drivetrain and a second gen cab body on there, whether it's taking a second gen body and putting it onto my first gen and selling my first gen body, or taking all of my drivetrain and everything and putting it under a second gen, or what. But I also still really like the idea. A lot of people said you should just do a third gen and put all your stuff under. Now, the problem with the third gen is I'm pretty sure with that, this guy had it right. The axles are wider on the third gen.
True.
So if I put my axle set, everything under a third gen, I would have to do 1.5-inch spacers in the rear and 3-inch spacers in the front. I think. I don't know.
Or maybe you could figure out a way to do... I mean, maybe we do a Wagoneer front, like a Wagoneer Dana 44 wagon front.
Yeah. Or talk to our buddies at Rough Stuff.
Yeah.
And get a 9.5-inch Land Cruiser housing from them and run some Land Cruiser axles.
Yeah. Yep. If you did a Wagoneer would allow us to choose whatever side we wanted, depending on if you put your transmission and T cases in there. Yeah. It would be an opposite side. It would be the passenger drop.
The current setup is passenger drop.
Right.
Yeah.
Passenger drop, which on the third gen 4Runners is where the exhaust is. Oh. So there's a few things. That's why usually the exhaust runs down one side and gas runs down the other. Yeah. Right. And then the front drive shaft is in that area, in that mix too. Yeah. But I believe that's part of the problem is where the exhaust runs.
Switch sides.
Yeah. On the third gen, they are switch sides.
What about the second gen? Is it driver?
Second
or
gen is
still passenger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And Marlin does make a rotation, like 180 clock thing.
Oh, really? For a T case? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm gonna have to talk to Marlin. Give him a call.
Yeah. So. I still think the first gen 4Runner is the most iconic and best looking body style for 4Runners.
Really? You like it better than second gens and third gens and fifth gens?
Yes.
Nobody likes fourth gens. So.
Nobody likes fourth gens.
No. We need to check up, speaking of fourth gens, we need to check up with our buddy. He's a mechanic, one of the lead mechanics at 4 Wheel Parts here in Sacramento. And he's building a fourth gen.
Oh, cool.
He's building it up on coilovers and Rubicon 44 axles.
Nice.
Then going up to 40s on it straight away. So
sweet. Yeah, that'll be fun.
He said he was going to be done near the end of August is what he was planning on. So I got to check in with him because I wanted to have him on the show and talk about how he built it up and how he did it all. So, cool ideas for the 4Runner there. We'll talk about what I'm deciding to do on the next episode. Oh, we got one.
That was quick.
That was quickie. That was like what was it? The groomsman and the joke. Nice and quick. Anyways, this one's from Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris. He says, this is a radio one. So he says, hi, I saw your write-up on ham radios versus race radios. Why are you sitting back like you're not going to say anything? You're going to go take a nap right now?
I keep playing with all the levers on this chair.
There's so many levers on these chairs. I don't know what we're going to... It's going to take me like an hour to figure out what they all do. He says, all right, so hi, I saw your write-up on ham radios versus race radios. I'm interested in installing a ham radio in my Jeep and getting a license. I would like to be able to communicate on race radio channels like Checkers or Best in the Desert. I would also, if possible, like to communicate between a trail and Big Bear to my house in Ukaipa? I'm not sure if that's possible, but I was wondering if you knew the answer to either of those questions and if you had a radio that you would recommend for this application. Chris.
I can do this one.
Yeah?
I think.
Go for it,
to an
baby.
extent.
Go.
Yes, you can talk on those frequencies, but they are controlled, lockdown, private frequencies.
Yes, they are.
I mean, technically your radio can transmit on to the frequency, but it is not, it's a commercial frequency and not open to the public.
Correct. So yeah, those frequencies, the Checkers and Best in the Desert, all the frequencies that pretty much comes on the Rugged Radios, race radios, and PCI for that matter too. All the channels that come pre-programmed on those are commercial band frequencies. They're private frequencies that people have paid for. And what's interesting, they pay for them based on a geographic area. Mm-hmm. So typically the geographical area is 75-mile radius of a given GPS coordinate.
Right.
So not only are people paying for these frequencies to be used, they're paying for them to be used within 75-mile radius. So,
and most of the ones for Rugged Radio are all for Johnson Valley.
And they're all based in Johnson Valley. Most of them are all based in Johnson Valley. So there are itinerant frequencies which you can pay for, and they will actually cover an entire state. And you can sign up to have like California and Nevada and Ohio and Utah and all that. You can put whatever state under your license that you want. It doesn't cost any extra to do it, but you have to do it and specifically and explicitly say that you're going to be operating on this frequency in this state. So most of the frequencies that are on Rugged Radios are set up, like Jimmy said, for Johnson Valley during King of the Hammers. They have now started expanding those and purchasing and redoing licenses for the other places, like up in Reno, the Ultra 4 Finals.
Sure.
Ridgecrest.
So pretty much wherever an Ultra 4 event is.
Whenever there's an Ultra 4 event, they are expanding their frequency licenses to cover those areas of the events as well. Mm-hmm. So be careful if you're running on a trip, because I know there's a was it Hunters 4x4? No, it wasn't Hunters. There was another shop here in Sacramento that goes and does trips out into the desert like once a month kind of thing. Okay. And it's just kind of like a customer appreciation trip that they do. And I've talked with them about setting up a commercial license so that they can have radio comms for their business on these trips that they run, on their customer appreciation trips.
Sure.
And so if you are a customer on that trip, then yeah, absolutely, you can use those frequencies because now you're associated with the organization that owns the license. Mm-hmm. Another way you could do it is by setting up, purchasing one of those frequencies for your off-roading club. So I did that. I set up a business commercial frequency for one of my clubs. So now any member of the club, you have to be a member in good standing according to the bylaws. Any member of the club can now use those frequencies during club events. They don't have to have a license to do it. The club takes care of the license for it. Those are pretty much your two options as an off-roader for commercial frequency. Unless you want to go buy one yourself. It's $600 to $700. If you want to, have at it. Go do it. I would recommend just getting your ham license, though.
Yeah.
So even if you get a commercial license, you're not going to get access to repeaters because you have to build your own repeater system to use those on your frequency. So
right. And so that kind of brings us to the next point. Mm-hmm. I would also, if possible, like to communicate between Trail and Big Bear in my house, or Big Bear to my house in Ukaipa.
I don't know how to pronounce that.
So really so you're going to need to know what frequencies are the repeater system down there.
Yes.
And then in theory, depending on, I don't know where that is, but in theory, if you have a unit at your house and a unit on your vehicle or, in your hand, and you queue up the repeater, you should be able to communicate to home.
Absolutely. So, and Jimmy answered that pretty well. So, the trick is finding the repeaters and finding their information for the repeaters.
And how do you do that?
So, there's a great website called repeaterbook.com. Okay. They also have an app for your phone. So if you do know how to program your radios on the fly without computer programming, having the app is a super valuable thing to have because it downloads the entire repeater book database for the entire United States onto your phone. What it does, it knows the GPS coordinates of all the repeaters in that database.
Yeah.
So what it does, it takes your phone's GPS coordinates because your phone almost always, whether it has cell signal or not, it almost always has a GPS signal.
Right.
And so it'll take your phone's GPS signal and compare it to GPS signals of nearby repeaters, and it'll tell you how many repeaters are within 5 miles of you, within 10 miles, and it'll give you the heading to that repeater from where you're at.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it's a really cool app to have, and you can use it without any cell reception whatsoever since it's all downloaded onto your phone. So that's a very valuable one to have if you go camping, backpacking, off-roading, hiking, whatever it is. If you go horse riding, to let your horse shit on mountain bike trails, you can take it with you and figure out all the information for nearby repeaters and plug them into your radio and try it and keep trying until you hit one. Other than that, repeaterbook.com has a very searchable database that pops up results on a Google Maps screen interface. So you can look and say, okay, here's Yucaipa, here's Big Bear Valley, where I like to go. There's these repeaters that are kind of in between those. These would be my options to try and hit. So you program those into your radio, go on a trip out to Big Bear, and try each of those repeaters and with somebody back at home until you get one that reaches back to home. So
right. And I think a thing to point out here is the person transmitting from Big Bear needs to have their ham license, and the person
both people do.
Both people, and the person at home can listen, right? You can listen in, but if you can't transmit back unless you have your ham license.
Yep.
So
the other option, so there's two options here. That was the first one.
Okay.
The second one is to find a repeater that you're going to be in the area you're going to be wheeling or hanging out or recreating in, whatever it is, and find the one that has Echolink to it.
Right, okay.
And with Echolink connects repeaters to the internet.
Yep.
And once a repeater is connected to the internet and radios are connected to the internet, there's a lot of really cool shit you can do with radios. And one of them is that you can talk anywhere in the world. So you could talk not just from Big Bear to Yucaipa, you could talk from Big Bear to New York if you wanted to. You could talk from Big Bear to England if you really wanted to. As long as one of the repeaters in your area where you are recreating has Echolink, then as long as the other person you're trying to talk to has internet connection, whether it's their phone, computer, tablet, whatever it is, you'll be able to talk to each other.
If you're talking on the internet through Echolink, do you need a ham license?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yeah, you still need a ham license.
Still need a ham license.
Yep. And Echolink is very particular about making sure people have a license in order to download and install the app on your phone.
Right.
So
is that the same one that lets you you can do a phone call?
No, that's a different feature called an auto patch.
Yeah.
And what that is depending on who owns the repeaters, usually they can set up landlines on their repeaters. And with that landline, you can then key in a specific code and that is particular to whatever the repeater owner wants to set it to.
Right.
And you can actually make a phone call from the repeater through the repeater.
Right.
So you key up the repeater, punch in the code, punch in the phone number, and then the repeater connects to a landline, dials the phone number, and then it comes through. The thing to remember about this is that any conversation that goes on with that is public for anybody that's listening to the repeater to hear.
Right.
So remember that as you're having your conversation.
Also, it doesn't act as a phone. It acts as a repeater.
It does.
Normal.
It acts like a radio. You can only talk one person at a time. It's not duplex. So one person, you have to take turns talking. And while one person is talking, the other person, while you're talking, you're just going to hear silence. There's no white noise on the line. And phone lines actually work that way.
Oh, yeah.
The phone companies embed white noise into the signal so that people know that the line's
so you're
connected.
Still connected.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so that's the other thing to remember is you got to take turns. It's like a radio. Mm-hmm. You take turns talking. You cannot both talk at the same time. So,
cool.
Yeah, so that was a good question. Let's see, what time are we at? We're at
around an hour.
About an hour. I think that's good. Let's call it here. We still have a few more questions. We have a lot more questions. I thought we'd get through more than that.
Yeah.
In our fun Klamath Basin Brewing trucker's hat here. So
it's actually the secretary. She got mad at us last night for putting all the questions in it.
She doesn't need to. Whatever. She can deal with it. So yeah, we still have quite a bit more questions here. So we will keep on adding to the question collection, and every, however many episodes we can get around to answering them, we'll get around answering them and just keep sending them in. So it's fun.
Yeah.
This has been fun. It's kind of cool to hit different topics, from fabricating A-pillars to
body swaps to radio talk,
radio stuff, antennas. So it's pretty cool. We enjoy it. Hope you guys enjoyed it too. So hope you guys enjoyed the video out in YouTube land. And if you guys want to send us in any questions, it's very easy to do. You can send it to SnailTrail4x4 on Instagram, or 4x4 Toyota Tyler on Instagram. You can go to the website, which is SnailTrail4x4.com, and find how to get to YouTube, how to get to Instagram, how to get to the Patreon account if you want to sign up for the Factor 55 gift card drawing. You can contact us through the website. You can email us through the website, and the emails are Jimmy over here, Mr. Gorgeous, at Jimmy@SnailTrail4x4.com, and Tyler right here, Mr. Gorgeouser, at Tyler@SnailTrail4x4.com.
I'm not sure if that's a word.
Oh, it is. We're making words up here. So, cool. With that, my friends, and for all of our buddies out there in the YouTube and podcast land, Senor Gorgeous, do you have any final words for everybody?
I'm excited to hear about the 4Runner build.
And with that, my friends, keep crawling.